I applied to be a visiting scholar at Ohio State because I wanted to look at how Ohio State does their multimodal program within first-year composition. I'd already talked to Scott DeWitt a little bit about it, and my project at Findlay is to work on our program to make it more multimodal and to work in more multimodal projects. One of the other reasons why I'm here is I'm trying to work a little bit more with a book project on being a multimodal WPA and how you administrate a writing program with multimodality and where the intersections are, and how you basically take one of these traditional programs and make it more multimodal. So that's my primary project, but a secondary one is to work on a digital article on writing methods courses. Well, right now I'm working a lot with how to incorporate multimodal composition within writing program administration, but I'm really looking at it within the context of a liberal arts education. Right now there's a lot of scholarship out there about how the liberal arts is kind of slow to catch on to multimodality, and in some ways they're very resistant to working this type of stuff into first-year composition and beyond. So that's one of the projects I'm looking at right now, is to show that actually multimodality doesn't necessarily have to be at odds of goals of a liberal arts education, and in fact can actually do some things to enhance it. So that's really a primary thing that I'm looking at. But a secondary one is I still do some things with teacher training, and I'm very interested in teaching students in the undergraduate writing methods course how to teach writing. Yeah, I actually prefer the multimodal term primarily because a lot of the stuff I do is not digital. For example, in one of our composition classes, we've actually taken students over to an art studio where they created something out of clay. We've done graffiti. We've done all kinds of projects where they don't necessarily use what we would consider technology, like they're not doing podcasts necessarily or film, but they do those too. So to me, it really is a multiplicity of modes. The University of Findlay has about 5,000 students, about 3,500 undergrads, 1,500 graduate students, and it started out as a liberal arts institution, but it's always kind of had its fingers in professional and other community outreach activities. For example, we teach composition at the prisons in Lima. We do a lot of outreach with adults. There's a weekend college program where students that are working adults can come back and take class. And really the university is moving more towards a comprehensive institution, but it does have still a strong liberal arts tradition and a heavy emphasis on writing. Well, technically I'm on sabbatical this semester, so I'm there, but I'm not there. So that's what enables me to do this. But I already have revised our writing program for multimodal composition. I've worked with it in our first and second year classes, but I'm always looking to ways to kind of make the connections between the classes a little bit better. So that's one of the things that I wanted to talk with Scott DeWitt about this semester. I definitely want to talk with him about how the transfer between first year composition and any upper level writing courses, because that's really where I'm looking right now, is what to do with what we call a second writing requirement. Those courses for us are all over the place. They can be things like writing about film, which I teach, or they could be technical writing. They could be, we have an electronic literature and writing class. So they're sort of all different types of courses, and to me it's difficult to judge that transfer of any kind of skills between the first year composition and second year writings. Well, one of the things that I just recently, I actually submitted a piece to Composition Studies, I hope they take it, but I've been working with first year composition and resources that we already have on campus and how we actually do this. And fortunately, in some parts of Findlay, the institution is wonderful about technology. We do have Dreamweaver, we have Movie Maker, we have iMovie. There's not a lot of labs on campus, but what we do have, the students are able to use effectively. We have a student technology center where they can actually get student-on-student help to learn how to podcast and do those sorts of things. But one of the things I wrote this article about was how to do communally assessed portfolios in first year composition, and I did them electronically. So I wanted to find, an electronic portfolio system that would work well. And one of the things that I found was that, I really wanted to use, some kind of outside portfolio system. And, we just did not have the resources for that. There's no money for that. So we have Blackboard on campus. We have the Blackboard Enterprise version. I believe it's just the next step up from the regular one. And they do have content system, and they have portfolios in the content system that you can create. So one of the things I looked at when I first took over this writing program position was to look at how we could actually exchange portfolios electronically, communally assess them. Then how could students work in their multimodal projects they were working on in the class and link to videos and podcasts and that sort of thing. And there's been some resistance. I mean, there are some faculty that really aren't big fans of using Blackboard for this kind of thing. They don't like the corporate look of the portfolios and that sort of thing. But, one of the things I've had to do is sort of make the case that, this is not the best resource out there, but it's free. We already have it. Students can link once they make the portfolio in Blackboard, they can link outside of it and, be creative in that way. But also, it really does enable them to link to portfolios as well, or digital projects as well as multimedia things if they have like camera pictures, like scans they want to put in, papers, because we still obviously are teaching papers and composition, so they have links to that. But for me, it's really been, I have to say, the Blackboard portfolio thing has really worked out well for us. I'm Christine Tulley, and I'm a visiting scholar in DMAC.
Ow.